What's up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over the Brooklyn Nets super team era. This era has been going on since 2018 to 19 season, and I'm going to be going over that in this video right here. So, let's start. So, at the end of the 2018-19 postseason, the Raptors beat the Warriors in 6 games, where Kevin Durant was injured, Klay Thompson was injured, and it's truly just Steph Curry. But after that, in the free agency later that year, a lot of stuff happened. Like Kawhi went to the Clippers, and I think Russell Westbrook went to the Rockets. Yeah, a lot of stuff happened that offseason. But one of the thing we're talking about in this video is Kevin Durant actually went to the Nets in a sign-in trade with D'Angelo Russell. So yeah, but that's not the only thing that happened that offseason. Kevin Durant went to the Nets. But what also happened was Kyrie Irving went to the Nets because, he was having problems in Boston with leaderships and stuff like that. So they're both in Boston. They're both in the Nets, and they were injured because, what I was talking about earlier. Kevin Durant was on the Warriors, and he got injured. And then Kyrie Irving, he played for the first, couple games, and then he had, surgery and played the rest of the season. And then later that year, it was the bubble. Yeah, it was the bubble, and they got eliminated to the Raptors in the first round. It was actually a good series, even though they lost in 4 games. But the year after that, James Harden started having problems, and he didn't want to play for the Rockets anymore. He is kind of not playing as hard anymore. There was that one photo where he was really, really not in weight. He had a lot of weight on him, and he was not fit. That one photo went viral. So Harden requested a trade. He wanted to go to the Nets. I'm pretty sure, the Nets, the Sixers, and I can't think of the other team right now. Oh yeah, I don't think there was another team. I think it was just the Sixers and the Nets. And then it was about January, beginning of this January, New Year, and the Nets put together a good package for him, and they accepted. It involved Karis LeVert, Jared Allen,
Durant,
Spencer. No, it didn't.
Durant.
But the trade had so much good pieces, and they lost a lot of value for James Harden, but they still did it because it was at the time it was guaranteed championship. 3 of the greatest offensive players of the time. I'm not saying all of them are the best offensive players of all time, but they're really, really good at offense. James Harden had that one season where he almost averaged 40. Kyrie Irving just handles are the best of all time. Kevin Durant. He's literally one of the greatest scorers of all time. All of that offensive firepower just equaled a ring in a lot of people's heads. But at the end of the day, later that season, they went to the playoffs, and they were a couple shoe size away. The first playoff game was against the Celtics. And they actually won that so easily. They're when all of them were on the court together in the playoffs, it looked unstoppable. Bro, literally every single little thing looked perfect. They could not be stopped on offense, defense, or not. Nah, their defense was actually bad, but offense, bro, they just outscore everyone because Harden isolate, pass it to Kyrie, Kyrie passes to KD, KD gets it done. That was a good Celtics series for the Nets. And then the next playoff series started, and it was against the Milwaukee Bucks. This was a good series. This was actually the year the Bucks won it against the Suns. It went all the way to 7 games, game after game, hard-fought battles. But at the end of the day, the Bucks won because Kevin Durant's shoes were a little too big. It was a close. It was tied. No, the Nets were down by. But the Nets were down by 2. Kevin Durant took a 3, but it turns out, and he made the 3, but it turns out it was actually a 2 because a bit of his toes were a bit over on the line, which is really sad. One thing I didn't mention about that series is James Harden and Kyrie Irving actually got injured, and that was one of the main things why they lost. If they had Jared Allen and Karis LeVert, the chance of both of them getting injured and Kyrie Irving getting injured, like all three of them players getting injured, like lower than James Harden and Kyrie getting injured, because 3 players getting injured is a bunch lower than 2 players getting injured, especially when these superstars. Anyways, they lost that year. It was okay. They're gonna run it back later that year, but on the other side of the bracket, not in the Western Conference, but in the Eastern Conference, Ben Simmons and the 76ers were playing the Hawks, and in all those games, he cannot make a free throw for his life. He had like the lowest free throw percentage of all time in playoff history. Ben Simmons was horrible from everywhere. He could not hit a free throw for his life, and then the Sixers lost that series. Embiid was mad. Everyone was burning Simmons jerseys because he sold them. They had like a 30-point lead at one point, and then they blew it because of Simmons missing free throws. A lot happened. Simmons passed up an open dunk. A lot happened in that series, and it made Simmons mad. He sat out the next year. He requested a trade. The Sixers didn't even want him. They didn't even want to talk to him. And so Ben Simmons requested a trade to anywhere, really. He wanted to go to one of the LA teams, I'm pretty sure. Or one of the California teams, like Sacramento, the Clippers, the Lakers, and the Warriors. He wanted to go there. But he ended up getting traded, I think at the trade deadline. Yeah, at the trade deadline. James Harden got traded for Ben Simmons, and it was a pretty big trade, because James Harden, he is tired of the Nets, and then Ben Simmons was tired of the Hawks, or not the Hawks, I meant the 76ers, because they were beefing with Embiid, kind of. Ben Simmons was. Now, it's all over, though. The Nets, they're about to start this new season, the 2022-23 season, with Ben Simmons. Hopefully he plays, and hopefully he's better than what he was in that playoffs. The last time we saw him play was 2 years ago in that playoffs. So, yeah, a lot's going to happen this season. And on the Sixers side of the things, James Harden, he's not Houston James Harden, the greatest offensive player of all time, James Harden, top 10 offensive player of all time, James Harden, but he's still James Harden. He still knows how to score the basketball. He still knows how to pass. He's still a player. He knows how to lead a team, and I'm very excited for this upcoming season. And the Nets super team, they still do have a super team if you think about it. But Kevin Durant recently, wanted a trade. I didn't talk about it that much in this video, but yeah, I'm gonna talk about it now. And yeah, let's go. Okay, so now I'm going to be talking about KD requesting a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. It's been about a month and a half now since Kevin Durant requested a trade, and it happened the beginning of the free agencies. So he requested a trade, and he this trade happened right after the Rudy Gobert trade, and the Rudy Gobert trade was crazy because so much people got traded in the Rudy Gobert trade. That trade was crazy, and it was not a top 10 player in the league. So a top 10 player in the league that, actually wanted a trade, they were going for more than Rudy Gobert, or that's what the Nets wanted. In a previous video, I talked about this a bit, but the Celtics, they literally asked the Celtics for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, literally their two best players for Kevin Durant. And the Celtics obviously declined because that's just way too much for Kevin Durant. He's about to retire in the next couple of years. You never know when he could start requesting, and there's just a lot of problems. He might just request a trade randomly like he did to the Nets. So yeah, he recently asked the GM, general manager, to fire Sean Marks and Steve Nash, which is kind of weird because he asked for them to hire Steve Nash. So that's a whole situation, and it's confusing because he was literally the one who wanted Steve Nash as a coach, as a head coach, and then a couple years later he's just going to want him fired. So Yeah, right now I don't think he's gonna get traded. It's very unlikely at this point. If he was gonna get traded, I feel like it would have already happened. So much times of talking to GMs, and I think that all the NBA teams are actually just ready to go into this year. The Raptors were actually in the trade talks, and I'm a Raptors fan, but it's not important. The Raptors were gonna trade like Scotty Barnes. And when the Nets started asking for Scotty Barnes, the Raptors hang up the phone on them because Scotty Barnes just won Rookie of the Year. He's like really amazing. And yeah, that's basically the end of this video though. In the comments, put if I missed anything about the Nets super team saga. A big part of them like building the super team was trusting KD and Kyrie. And so far it hasn't went so well because KD's trying to leave. It's gonna be tough though. I think in the future, there's still a watchable team, but in the future, I could see a lot of stuff happening with them. I could see Ben Simmons becoming good again. Like he was always good. It's just he's not playing. I could see him playing again. I could say, and T.J. Warren being good. I could see them making like a playoff run. Maybe to the second round. But yeah, that's it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Remember, 2 vids every day. Have a good rest of your Saturday. I'm going to be uploading later today at 5 o'clock. So come back for that one. Anyways, yeah, peace.